You've heard of this meeting should have been an email, but have you heard of this movie should have been a series? No? Well, Thunderbolts is the perfect example of this issue, and I'll show you exactly why through the lens of storytelling and more specifically character arcs. Our stars for this video are Yelena, Santa Claus, Beloved Bob, Bucky ? Captain B-America, Ghost, Valiant Evil, and Mel, which I'd left for last because in my opinion, her arc had the potential of being the most interesting one. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Silver. I'm a fiction author who focuses on character-driven narratives, which makes this movie particularly fascinating to me. Long story short, I think it did an excellent job of blending these cool action elements we watch Marvel movies for with the sort of great writing we've not seen from the studios in a while. Every criticism I had for the writing could be summed up as this was rushed. The first third of the movie is perfect, like to the last detail. The characters are introduced in an order and pace that makes sense, their dynamics are established, the conflict is clear and the general trajectory they're headed in is obvious, and also there's Bob. We love Bob. Then, pretty much as soon as the poor limo gets buckied, everything goes to shit. Let's start by talking about Yelena because she's the only character with a full, complete character arc that wasn't rushed. At the beginning, she's spiraling, slowly losing herself in her misery, but she's not giving up. She wants to be better, to live better, and she seeks out help in an effort to reach towards a better future. This is our introduction to her incredible mental fortitude, which we see more and more of as the movie goes on, and it's an excellent way to showcase her character. She's very much a daughter of the Red Room, but somehow the kindness wasn't beaten out of her. She tries to use non-lethal force whenever possible, gets disappointed when there's collateral, and most importantly, she tried to help Bob even when there was no clear benefit to it. She's a good person deep down, or maybe just wants to be a good person, which is equally as important. And as the story progresses, she lets more of that side of hers shine. It's not a coincidence that her dad talked about how, as a kid, she would light up any room she walked into. Her arc is complete with her emotional confession of her deep despair and her choice to rely on her team, lean on them because some burdens aren't meant to be borne alone. Phenomenal, detailed, no notes. She got all the screen time she needed. Santa Claus comes close but isn't quite there. We meet him kind of in the middle of his story. He already had his time as a hero, and now that it's over, he doesn't know what to do with himself. His goal from the very beginning is to be in the public eye again, helping people, and he does that by helping Yelena, which I personally think is beautiful. In my culture, there's a saying along the lines of, "He who saves one life has protected a whole world." And this part of the story really embodies that. Being a decent dad and helping one person helped improve the lives of countless others, including transforming his own. The reason why I say it's not enough is because the way he comforts Yelena after her breakdown comes out of nowhere. Like, imagine if she made several attempts of connecting with him through the story and he failed to match them, resulting in hurt for her and a feeling of deep shame and uselessness for him. Imagine if he had to choose between his hopes of being a hero again and being a good dad to Yelena, choosing her but being rewarded with a chance of being a hero anyway. Wouldn't that have been so much more impactful? And all that's missing is a few measly scenes. The structure for the arc is already there. Heck, I'd wager that this was written into the original script, then scrapped. Now here's where it gets sticky. Our baby girl, Bob. The foundation for this character is amazing, but the execution is missing big chunks of the story. Most notably, the speed at which he agrees to work for Valentina, including facing against the people who helped him escape her death trap to begin with. Don't get me wrong, somebody with self-esteem as low as Bob's could absolutely be manipulated into doing her bidding, even going as far as hurting his friends. This part of the movie simply didn't get enough attention, and frankly, the only way I can imagine Bob turning to Valentina so quickly is if she subtly threatened to take away his power. Something along the lines of, "Oh, you poor boy. Of course this comes as a major surprise to you. Don't feel bad about it. You must be so overwhelmed. Sadly, we can't afford to let you keep these powers if you can't play the part of a hero. The country needs a protector, you see. So we have no choice but to transfer the power to somebody who can do the job." It would be a lie, obviously, but Valentina absolutely has both the cunning and the social acumen to pull that off. An even better way to execute his corruption arc, had this been a series and not a movie, is to make it gradual. Have the Thunderbolts actually betray him in some capacity, or doubt him, or criticize him, or land any blow to his already low self-esteem. Valentina can then swoop in and talk about how perfect he is, seducing him with the motherly affection that bought him over in the original story. The same goes for him turning on her, by the way. Yes, he's very moody, and it makes perfect sense for him to change his allegiance quickly, but I would have loved a better reason than "I am a god, I don't need to listen to you, mom." As an example, what if Bob genuinely wanted to be a good hero, but Val commanded him to do something unethical? That could clue him into the fact that they're not on the same side because Val is on Val's side only. Don't you think that would be fun? If you thought the Bob situation was bad, by the way, it only goes down from here. Bucky has as much development in this movie as a houseplant, but oh my god, is his theme not incredible? I'm telling you right now that I'm gonna listen to it on repeat whenever I work out for like months. Point is, the setup for his arc is there. Bucky is in his law-abiding citizen arc, and you can tell from the very beginning that it doesn't suit him. Honestly, I would have loved to see it even more clearly, like make him wear an outfit that's a size too small. Show me that he's too large to fit in this restrictive role and it's just not the right path for him. Show him debating when it's finally time to put on the Winter Soldier hat again whether he wants to do this. Show him realizing that if he does, he loses his opportunity to be senator and any chance of treading that route again. Show him deciding to do what's right anyway. Show him dealing with the consequences of his actions, the loss of his station, adapting to his new life, anything. There's more I want to say about Bucky, but I'm reserving that to Mel's section, which yes, I still think is the most interesting. Walker and Ghost are in the same boat. Their characters are pretty much just introduced and little more. There really wasn't time to develop either of them as players in the game, but they both had one interesting moment that gave their characters depth, and I want to talk about it. Walker isn't stupid. He knows that he was set up, but he still insists that should he be the one making it out of the vault alive, Val would give him everything he wants, which is effectively his life back. What's fueling this intense denial is desperation. He's ultimately just a very lost man holding on to the hope that he can be in control of his life again. Ghost's part in the story has an equally unique twist. While there are many instances of the team helping one another out, she is the first to come back for the others. She's the first to play her part in the team, and she continues to consistently do that throughout the whole movie. We really don't know much about these characters, especially Ghost, which makes it really hard to be emotionally invested in them. I'm sure they'll pop off in future movies. I get that this was just a setup, but I wish there was like a little bit more, any semblance of an arc. Again, I think this should have been a series. Val is the true villain in the story, so rather than an arc, she gets consequences, and I actually think the execution of her story is perfect. Her childhood trauma made her realize that it's a dog-eat-dog world, and if she wants to be safe, she has to be the top dog. An ambition that she'd sacrifice anything for. Her desperation comes from fear, by the way, not some rational place. She could have been among the most powerful people alive without dirtying her hand, but she wanted that top spot, and that's something you can't get without spilling blood. Her end is very fitting. Yelena tells her, "We own you now." That's it. She gave up her relative power in a gamble, and now she's under the thumb of somebody who might turn on her at any given moment. This is exactly what she was trying to avoid. Now for the promised tea about Mel. Something I loved about the movie is how obvious it was that Bucky was super green as a senator. And I'm not talking green flag, I'm talking green as in easy to manipulate. Personally, I think that with his training, this level of inexperience makes no sense for the characters, but let's roll with it. What if Mel was actually loyal to Valentina? What if she informed her boss when Bucky reached out to her and they used that line of communication to feed him false info? What if Bucky only found out that he was misled when something precious like key evidence was destroyed as a result? What if she realized the depth of Valentina's depravity after the fact, and when she called on Bucky for help, he no longer believed her? What if, like the boy who cried wolf, she completely obliterated that trust? What if she had to work to restore it by layering brave acts of goodness, culminating in, say, a moment where she risked herself to do what's right? Mel is clearly an extremely capable young woman and could have absolutely had a place in the Thunderbolts team. For example, in the after-credits scene, Bucky is guiding Yelena on how to operate stuff, but wouldn't it be awesome if Mel just took over that aspect? People who do logistics work are not to be underestimated, and even without any combat training, Mel could have been invaluable to the team. I really would have loved to see her get that part. So, to sum things up, good movie, good writing, very rushed. It should have been a 6 to 8 episode series. Feel free to argue with any of my takes in the comments below. I'm so down for that. And if you want to hear me yap about storytelling some more, definitely like this video and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.